weekly podcast called Behind the Joystick. I'm your host today, Cordy Yikes, and I have with me a special guest, a homegirl from the South. I have Miss Friday.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to
Good.
be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being my first person so that we get to talk a little bit and unwind and
Of
do all that fun stuff.
course.
So,
Yeah.
for those that might not know you, can you give a brief little intro about yourself?
Yes, I can. So I'm Friday. I also go by Cath. I'm sort of balancing whether or not I stick with Friday or go with Cath because I'm Cath in the collegiate scene, but I'm Friday online and when I used to do content creation. But
Right.
many of people know me as Friday. I also go by Cath. Since I'm a student right now at Emerson College, there's a couple different things I do. So I'm a communications manager for Emerson Esports. I was their previous president, and we'll probably get into all of that, how I am now a communications manager. But alongside that, I'm the host for the COPE podcast. COPE is the Coalition of Parents in Esports. It's a nonprofit that prioritizes providing resources and opportunities for gamers and connecting them with their parents. And then I'm also talent for College Esports News, which has been awesome. I was previously a project manager for them. That was my first time doing any sort of project management stuff. And then
That's
I'm a
awesome.
I'm a Collegiate Ambassador for the GameHers. So I do a couple different
Ooh.
things because I'm a student right now, and we're living and exploring and all good
Yeah,
things,
you've got to in college for sure.
right?
If you don't take it now, it won't ever happen after college.
Exactly.
All right.
Get it.
So this is your last year in the collegiate space for
It
your college,
is.
at least. How are you feeling about that?
It's kind of crazy to think about. I feel like the years have gone by so fast. And at the same time, just being a college student when things are moving around you so frequently, you're seeing people so often. It really does feel like things that happened during the week happened a month ago, but it's just like so much time. You can't even begin to sort out how time works at college. But it's been amazing, and esports has been a part of my life at college, I would say, since freshman year, but it wasn't
Right.
even something that I didn't know that it was going to take over my life the way it did. I think the thing now is just preparing for the future in an industry that's like this constantly. So that's scary, but gotta take some risks, gotta throw myself
Right.
in there.
Right. And from being in the beginning and then now to like what it is, like that involvement and that scene over the past few years, like how much do you think like has drastically changed from when walking in there?
I would honestly say so much, and it's crazy because it's only been 4 years. And I know a lot of people who have been in the space for a while talk about how different it is and how different it's grown over the past 10 years. But I really can see a difference over the past 4 years. And I specifically have been able to see that through the way that I talk to people. I would go
Mhm.
to events and when I would network with people and I would tell them, I was involved in collegiate. I was a little bit more reserved and shy
Right.
and quiet about telling them that because I was like, it's compared to the pro scene, it's just being a college student and liking esports and like being involved in the club. But now it's the sort of thing where people are really starting to notice the impact and taking it seriously because in a way, collegiate is a little bit more stable than the professional scene right now. And so people are
Yeah.
really starting to have their eyes set on what collegiate can do for students as players, coaches, managers, people who want to go into business development, like all of that. They're starting to understand that that can start with collegiate.
Yeah.
So just talking to people these days, and I tell them I'm part of a collegiate organization, they're like, no way. We've been really interested in learning more about that. Really? I'm like, oh. So I definitely feel like it's changed drastically, especially with programs becoming more established and like clubs starting to find their footing and
Yeah.
figuring out how they're going to move to that next level of potentially being a program. So I would say I've definitely experienced, even in the 4 years, a huge difference.
Oh yeah, especially like what was it like last weekend or the week before going into Atlanta over there, and they had the Creator Summit, and then they had the Lionist,
Girls
like
Gaming
girls.
Expo.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy, and like all those girls were like high school, college students, like in between, and just to know that in the beginning it used to be a club is now
Yeah,
this
definitely.
huge thing. It's
To see the
it's very
impact
cool.
that it has on students these days is like awesome. It's so
It
cool.
really is. I saw all those buses and how like girls got all excited and I started tearing up and it was like this used to just be a club back in college. This
Yeah.
wasn't a thing. I
Yeah.
believe the esports Twitter, the Emerson's,
Person has?
Emerson's, they posted something today saying that high schools are now trying to get children to pretty much stay in school because they can now take this off as college scholarship if they need to. And I saw
I
that
mean,
today and I was like, that was
a
really cool.
there's a lot of recruitment these days. I think targeting students that are I think in scholastic especially like middle schools and high schools when these students are sort of I think middle school is very much more early development with like sports. I don't even know what the landscape looks like for like elementary school or anything like that, but like
Right.
I know like high school students can prepare themselves the same way that they would prepare themselves in sports or in band or I'm saying to be recruited. I know that there are some organizations out there that do help students with recruitment and being seen because I personally don't even know what that like I don't know I've never been part of like recruitment process or anything like that because at Emerson we're still a club so we're not heavy on the competitive scene. You don't
Right.
have any scholarships that we can offer students, but like I do know that students get recruited out of high school for collegiate programs to play competitively. And so it very much is starting at that level and
Right.
taking the pathway through collegiate and maybe to the professional scene too. That's
Right.
something we're working on exploring.
Right. And speaking of exploring, COPE that you are now a part of, I've seen that
Yeah.
on that you're a part of that. And that is actually a really cool thing. I saw them at PAX East in the beginning
Yeah.
of the year. They had like a first little booth and they were talking about how they're, I believe, with Full Cell and how
Mhm.
they like, created this thing. And then I saw you part of it. I was like, oh man. So like, tell us more. Like, how has that been for you? And like, what is that intake?
So it's been amazing. I met everyone from Cope at PAX East. I just went to PAX East. I ended up being able to volunteer at one of like PAX East booths that they had that was part of like stamp rally that they do. So I was
Yeah.
basically sitting at a booth like directing people like where to go to be part of that like stamp thing that they do.
So,
And no, it was really cool. And so that enabled me to just be able to go to PAX all 4 days, which was not even something like I had bought a pass. And then all of a sudden they were like, if you're going to volunteer for us, we have an exhibitor badge. And I was like, what? So all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, I'm able to be at PAX all 4 days. And I just ended up connecting with a lot of people there. And there was like a networking event through the Esports Trade Association that I was able to go to. And I was able to meet some people there. But because of that, eventually, I wound up sort of in the same space as the Cope team.
yeah.
And I was talking with them about what they do, and I thought that was great because I think that there is such a huge divide between parents and gamers when it comes to understanding the resources and what the industry looks like. Uh, and I think a lot of gamers, whether they're looking into content creation or whether they're looking into pursuing competitive esports through school, it can be really hard for parents to sort of understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and because there's a lot of negative stereotypes that have come with gaming, and we've sort of jumped past that hurdle, but now it really is just reinforcing educational concepts and the skills that students and gamers learn through these different avenues, building your own brand as a content creator. Like, things that you learn doing that are sometimes things you won't even be able to learn in school because you might just
Yeah.
not be taught that sort of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much knowledge and things that you can learn. And so I was talking to the Cope team there. I was so interested. So after PAX, I was just sort of following their socials, all the things like that. And then they reached
Right.
out to me being like, hey, we want to do this podcast. We basically remember meeting you and your energy. And we were like, and they were like, do you want to be our host? I was like, absolutely. I was like, of
Right.
course. I think going back to it, when I think about my time with Emerson Esports, like, I mean, it's been so huge. Has been seeing the impact that it makes on other people when people are having fun at our events or people get excited to be able to participate in tournaments or submit their photos of their fall themed Animal Crossing island, all of that sort of stuff. Seeing
Right.
makes on their lives has always been such a beautiful thing for me. And so, the Cope team reached out to me. I was like, okay, well, love what you're doing. I was like, I would love to help make that impact. You know what I'm saying? It's all about
Right.
making that impact on other people. And so that was my really long answer for such a short question. Yeah, so
It's all
it's been,
good.
it's been great. And so going to DreamHack Atlanta with them and being able to help run the booth and talk to parents and younger gamers and people who are my age in the content creation space. Like
Right.
it's all good things.
It was cool. And I remember when we were sitting in the creator summit part, you turned to me and you were like, "It's crazy that GameHers was part of here. Like, this is pretty
Yeah.
much like where it really started in the beginning of the year to kind of push ourselves and kind of take off at that." And it was just like sitting there, and it's like, "Oh man, like, we're right. Like, we're
Ah,
here, and now we're going to be there possibly next year." And it's
right.
and with that GameHers, like part of that ambassador program with them, and same here. How you been enjoying that so far?
I think it's great. I think the community that they've built and fostered, I think is
Oh, yeah.
beautiful for this space. And I think that award show specifically, just bringing everybody together, was like something I didn't even realize that I needed in my life at that moment. I literally have like
Mhm.
one of the boxes that people got from being
Yeah,
at the
right.
award show, but I just think that having that sort of resource and being able to be there, they are so constant. They're so good about letting people know when things are going on in the industry, giving people opportunities to be part of like their streams and up on Pink Pixels and being able to tell their story. Like those things are so important, and being able to have a channel to see all of this stuff going on in the industry is so important, because without
Yeah.
it, like I wouldn't know about half the things that are going on. And so
Oh,
being a
absolutely.
resource like that, and then connecting people through the community, like talked about the GameHers, we're both ambassadors. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
able to connect on that level with someone is like always so cool. It's like a
Right.
bond that you have with someone. And so I think that award show too, I keep going back to it, was just like beautiful. There was just so much love. There was so much love and support that I think that I'm trying to think if I had experienced it at an event like that, and I'm honestly not sure that I ever have, because I think that a lot of the events that I've been to, expos that I've been to, have been very male dominated.
Yes.
And so this event specifically was just like, wow, I feel like none of us are fighting to be here. I feel like none of us are trying to one up each other in any way.
Mm-mm.
This is
No.
just, I was like, we don't, no one really, like, yes, it's awesome if you win, but like, at the end of the day, we're just happy to be here. We're so happy to be in this
Really
space.
was. I
And
remember
so,
going in there and then like I was in the idea of maybe like there's gonna be 10 people or so. Like, small thing. This is their first insight
and
event. I
yeah,
saw their pandemic events and like yearly
hmm
rounds on that. And then like this is their first one. I was like, it's gonna be a little hell bent. I don't know. We're all trying to fight get in this. And then
yeah.
everyone in there was like open arms. The people at the desk were like, hi, and they gave hugs and bags, and they were like, here, go do this. And even like
Yep.
organizer, her dad,
Oh,
uh
yeah.
yeah, I bumped into him and he was like, "Hey, how are you?" I was, "I'm good. It's nice to meet
Yeah.
you."
It's
So weird.
from the people who were from the entire team to the people that were there. It was just like so much love and care. You can just tell that like, there was so much thought that went into it. It was like,
Mhm.
that's how
Oh yeah,
we felt
right.
like it was a safe, really safe environment.
Oh, it felt super safe.
There are so many people that do so many amazing things that it's like I just wish every single person could everyone involved, because I just see so many orgs doing, even from Emerson Esports, I see so many amazing people that I'm like, oh, I would love for you to be nominated in this. And it's like there is a really large award. It's part award show, part tournament. It's called
Mhm.
CECC. And previously, we were actually the first year that they did those awards. I was nominated for President of the Year, but it was sort of like my name was on the ballot, but it was because our leadership changes the way that we do elections and things like that. It was technically
Mhm.
an award for myself, my co-president, and the two other co-presidents that were the semester before me. Like, it's really just for all of us as
Right.
as leaders. My name just happened to be the name on the ballot.
Did you go to
Um,
the CECC this year?
so the thing is that year that we were nominated, that was like
Mhm.
open nomination sort of
Oh,
thing, where it's
okay.
like people like Emerson Esports didn't have to be competing in the tournaments that were going on in order for us to be nominated, but they've changed things around, so where it's like you have to be part of the tournaments that are happening, or like you
Okay.
have to have some association in order to be nominated, and Emerson for for that past year wasn't, so we didn't end up, there was no potential for us to be
Are
nominated or
y'all
anything like that.
are
I don't
you
think
doing any yet or
so. If it was my choice, I would say yes, but at the same
which
time,
game?
I would say if we're typically we usually when we because right now we're involved with NACE. We are involved with NACE,
Mhm.
and that's like Overwatch. I know we have Valorant. I don't think we have Rocket League this year. We've had Rocket League
Okay.
in the past, which has been awesome. We have League. We have
Okay.
which we didn't have last year. It changes so frequently with the club. You never know who you're gonna have where for what games. I know we have
Right.
a Splatoon team. We
That's
didn't have
cool.
them last year, but we had them when I was president, and they were called the Squid Kids. They were great. They were
That's
phenomenal. They
awesome.
were doing their own thing. And so it sort of depends really on like year on what teams we have. But I would say like when we a lot more of the games that we typically stream because we do stream to our Twitch
Mhm.
is typically like Valorant and Overwatch the most because they play the most frequently. But we're gonna see how League filters into that, so we'll see.
Would you say that this would be probably like your closing one of your major goals by any chance, or what would your goal that you would want to accomplish for your final year?
So my goal has so for being a communications manager, this position was
Mhm.
like curated for me after my presidency because we've never had a situation of there being a president so young that she's not ready to like move on and wants to still be, you know what I'm saying? Typically it's like a
Right.
senior who's like, I've done my time. But that wasn't me. It was my second semester sophomore year to my first semester junior year. So
Wow.
I still had time left. I wasn't
Right.
ready. So this role essentially was really to help get us a space on campus because we still don't have a facility or lounge. We're really working on creating a community space that has PCs and
Right.
PlayStation and Xbox, things like that. And so this position was really curated for me to help reach the administration, connecting the faculty with the org because I wanted the org to be aware what's going on internally with
Right.
the school because it's still so hard to track like who's talking to who and then who leaves out who of a conversation and like is this going to
Yes.
get back to me or do I have to reach out of nowhere being like, oh, so there's a possibility you've talked to this person, that sort of thing, and keeping the org sort of fluid in on what that looks like, and then being a
Right.
voice for what we want to see because we are the esports scene on campus aside from the minor, because there is a
Mhm.
minor. It's housed in the communications department. And so that's sort of how things get sort of muddled because you have the communications department with a minor, but then you have an esports club that's part of our like student engagement and like our clubs on campus. So it's like two totally different areas that still
Right.
at the end of the day have the same goal, but it's like trying to get us all to communicate with each other and
Yes.
hopefully
I feel like
get
that's
a
the
space.
hardest part in everywhere is you've got to talk to like five different peoples, and then once everyone agrees, then you have to talk to six different contractors, and it's like,
Right, and it's like even though we've had meetings where all of us have like I've gotten us all to meet together, still
yeah.
somehow they choose to break off, and I'm like, like
Right.
y'all,
Come back. You
yeah,
have to
guys,
do the what is it? The TikTok trend? Campus single PCs.
that's gonna be me. That's been me. So that sort of
Oh
thing has been
man.
my main thing, and so my end goal is to be able to get a space for us on campus, or at least have something moving in the direction, being more sure that it's gonna happen than ever before, at least.
Right. And so would you consider this your biggest challenge you faced in your career so far? Or what how would
Oh,
that be?
yeah, I would say
Just that part?
so. I think just overall getting the school to recognize the possibility of them being a player in the collegiate
Mhm.
space because when we look at like Emerson as a school, it's known as like film and communications school.
Mhm.
Broadcasting is huge. Broadcasting is
Right.
a huge part of the esports industry, and I think it could definitely be a way bigger part of the collegiate industry where all schools are sort of figuring out how they will run broadcasting into their school and things like that. But we definitely don't take advantage of that enough. And I think part of that is because the minor is housed in communications right now, which isn't
Right.
the broadcasting, it isn't the film. You're saying it's just such a
Right.
interdisciplinary. There's just so many different parts of the school and departments that could lend itself to. And so it's like the
So
most infuriating part is getting them to realize that if we could be a with every department that we have at this school and the reach that we have, we could like journalism major is we have a lot of equipment that our journalism majors use and like top notch stuff and our film majors have production studios everywhere. Like we could do some big things and be a big
really
esports
could.
school. It doesn't have to be competitively, but at least just see us at least enough to recognize that we could have a place in the collegiate space.
Right. So do you think that you're now gonna have to get your doctorates for Emerson to
I
have a school or
honestly,
in
I was
esports?
I was honestly thinking about that. Like, something that I've actually, like, I think I've literally tweeted has been like, should I go get like my master's and like start the journey
Just
through
to
education or something? Because I do, at the end of the day, like, I do love working with other people, and
yeah,
I think when I look at what I am passionate about, it's always been uplifting and helping others and providing opportunities for others and
right.
being able to be someone that I didn't feel like I had, because I think
Mhm.
there was very few people that were able to help me start getting into the industry. A lot of that had to be
Right.
figured out, on my own, just because Emerson was a club. We were very much, it was very internal. There was not much external stuff that we were exposed to when it came to the industry. So it's like, I talk about this a lot, but the second that I hopped on Twitter, the second I got it through my brain that I needed to put myself on Twitter, the second I saw
Yes.
everything for the first time. And I was like, there's a world out here that I did not know about. And so, like, I
Right.
do want to be the person to really help other people who were like me, being like, really, like, what's Twitter gonna do? Actually, a
Really
lot.
does.
And
So weird
so,
how much it does.
no, I know. And so, like, I think I can really relate that to the idea of wanting to help students and realize their potential and be able to leverage that for success and in the industry that they want to go into. So we'll see. Who
So
knows?
with this would probably be like your future involving in esports. You'd probably be like a director of some sort after this.
Like, I totally could be. That's the
You
thing
could
about
be.
where I'm at right now, is spending these. So I was previously a musical theater major. I switched to the business of creative enterprises 2 years into school, something that if you had asked me in high school, never would have done. I would have told you that I would have been on Broadway by now or something. Um,
Right.
but I'm really, thankfully, I'm taking these past 2 years have really been about learning my own skill sets and trying to get better and being more confident about the things that I'm good at, and
Yes.
just filling my brain with as much stuff as I can, because I truly don't know where I'm gonna land in the industry post college. But like,
Right.
something like a director position, like, be awesome. That would be so cool. And I
I
think
could
that
see it.
there's thanks. I think that there's just so many different levels too of what directors look like at schools. The idea of having a master's could definitely be important, because that education aspect is arguably extremely important, if not the most important, when you're talking
Yes.
about collegiate. So, hey.
I will see. I guess this now leads to, I guess, since you are now at the end of your college, right? Like, unless you're going to go for more, what advice would you give your younger self going into
Ooh,
college?
going into college. Ooh,
Yeah. Post Friday.
so I think when I went into college, I had one specific viewpoint of how everything was going to go. I
Mhm.
was a musical theater major. That was the major that was set up for me, and that I had worked so hard to get to that point. It was 30 auditions I did to get into schools and like 20 something callbacks. That was a lot of time and money that was invested into that. And I
Yeah.
think the hardest thing for me was knowing that I did all of that, and then getting to a point where it's like, I know what I'm passionate about, but I don't want to just have wasted everything. And sort of
Mhm.
reframing that mindset into like, okay, you're not wasting it. You're not wasting anything. You're getting to college where you're supposed to be able to try new things and see other things
Yes.
that you like. I was very narrow minded about that, and I didn't let myself see it that way for 2 years, until I finally was like, oh, I can't hold myself back anymore. Because sometimes putting yourself in that uncomfortable position, that's the difference between you growing and then you staying where you are, and
Right.
not taking that leap because of fear. You might not grow, you might not get anywhere. It's those times that we are uncomfortable like that, that we actually allow ourselves to grow. And I think that for me, if I had someone just to tell me that earlier, I would have I would have been so less hard on myself about
Right.
potentially having a new career path, letting go of the noise of other people. Because so many people used to say like, oh, you're gonna be on Broadway, whatever. Oh, you're gonna, like, can't wait to see you on Broadway one day. And I would hear those voices in the back of my head being like, oh, so now you're just gonna throw all of the things that people have said to you, all of the people that believe in you away for something. But it's like, block out that noise. You have to do
Right.
what's gonna make you happy, and if it's gonna make you a little bit uncomfortable at first, just know that there is growth and there are great things that can be on the other side of that.
Right,
That's what I would
absolutely.
say.
That's so good. Yes. All right, and then I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up because get all sappy and ask 10,000 more questions. But is there anything that you're currently working on, or any projects you would like to listen or share with us?
Honestly, I don't think there's anything that I'm specifically working on right now because I am sort of finishing out school. Cope podcast is still we're still kicking it. We got lineup of some guests, so see me on screen doing that. Cope GG
Yes.
on Twitter and YouTube. But then other than that, hopefully, project that I'm working on getting an esports space. So if y'all see any development on that on Twitter, just know it's
Right.
happening.
Jingle, jingle.
Right, me right after this. So I would say some things that I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to
And then
right
where
now.
can people find you?
So if you go to Twitter, I'm at omgfriday. So that's omgfriday. And then my Instagram is at Cathy Aber underscore. So that's CATHYBERT underscore. So those are the places that you can find me. And I'm literally always, if anyone ever wants to chat about anything or anyone has any questions, just like literally hit me up and I'll be like, yes, let's chat.
Yes.
DMs
She will
always
be there
open.
for you.
Yes, I
You could
will.
even text her at 1 o'clock in the morning, being like, "How does
No,
this make me
literally.
feel?"
Literally let me know and we'll chat and we'll talk about
Yes.
it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for you sharing or being the first person on all this. I really
Ah,
appreciate it. And
thanks.
wherever this is going to be sure to, I guess, subscribe or 5-star it. We'll
Do
figure that
it.
out and learn more into the esports world. So, all right.
Yes. Thank
Bye.